Happy Pride, and welcome to Reader Seeks Romance Channel's Romance Roundup, the #1 romance book recs talk show. I am Liz Donatelli.
And I'm Libby K, author of the sweet romance series Buckeye Falls and the new release When Sparks Fly, available now from Inkspell Publishing.
Today's guest is a show favorite, Logan Sage Adams, author of Male Historical Romance, Resilience on Canvas, a book that's on both of our TBR lists. It releases on July 24th. Watch Romance Roundup on Reader Seeks Romance Channel and subscribe on YouTube. Listen to Romance Roundup on PodBean and all podcast apps. Follow us on Instagram at LibbyKAuthor and at Reader Seeks Romance. Hello, Logan.
Hi, how are you?
Hey, welcome back.
Thank you. It was good to come back. I was so excited when Liz contacted me, asked me to come on again.
Oh, good. I'm glad you said yes.
Anytime. It's awesome.
Happy to be in your presence. Logan, Resilience on Canvas is set during the 1930s Dust Bowl. What appeals to you about that time in U.S. history?
I don't know.
Next question.
I don't know why I pick the things that I pick. I think there are certain events or time periods that we had to learn about in school, and certain ones stuck with me, and I want to learn more about them now that I'm an adult and kind of care a little more than when I was 12. And I also love the idea of setting romances in all of these different time periods and places, and having these events be like the backdrop for certain scenes, or they could be a cool catalyst for like a character arc. I just think that's so fun. So I thought, Grapes of Wrath, but make it really gay.
Is that the tagline of the book? Because it should be.
But it could be.
I love that. That's perfect.
Grapes of Wrath, but make it gay. I'm serious. I'm obsessed already.
I think that's going to be the title of this episode.
Yeah.
I mean, that's perfect. That's perfect.
Yeah, no notes.
Now, you have to tell us in your own words what Resilience on Canvas is about, because we have talked about the book. Was it once or twice? I feel like maybe
at least once, but maybe twice.
Yeah. And
I saw one. I'm trying to remember if I'd seen a second one, but
okay.
Was it when I was flexing on knowing what a black blizzard was?
Libby is referring to our 2025 Summer TBRs, episode 54. That's right. The black blizzard.
That was cool to learn that too. I didn't know that. I was just Googling and I was like, oh, yeah. There's a Woody Guthrie song where he refers to it as a black blizzard, especially the one on April 14th, which ended up being called Black Sunday because everything became pitch black. So I do have that in the book. I had to.
Yeah. Well, and that's what we both love. I think I could speak for both of us about your work, is that you're taking parts of U.S. history that either haven't been explored thoroughly or that we've never heard of, and setting the romances with that as like the backdrop. And it's absolutely fascinating because I love to learn something new when I read a romance, specifically historical. Like, I don't go into it thinking, well, I don't care about learning anything new. I know it all. Like, I want to know something new. If you're not learning, you're not growing. If you're not growing, you're dying.
And that's when to grow on.
I like it. Yeah.
We're getting heavy this episode.
I'm about my presence. Just
your work lends itself to deeper exploration of the human condition.
That could go on the back of the book.
Yeah, there you go. You could write my author, like my about Logan.
Maybe I should. It's all the Dateline I've been watching. I think I've just been going down a very serious road.
Tonight on Dateline, she was wearing a lavender-colored shirt. And so they took to calling her Lavender Doe. What happened to her? And who was she?
Can you tell us, in your own words, what Resilience on Canvas is about?
Sure. So it's set in the Oklahoma Panhandle. It's 1935. One of the MCs is named Robert. He is kind of the caretaker for his family, but his farm is basically not producing anything anymore. They're really struggling to put food on the table. They're struggling to, he has younger siblings, so he's struggling to like be able to even have like nice, like any clothes for them, shoes that fit, everything. And he has this idea that, all right, if I can get my sister married off, at least then she'll be taken care of. That's one less mouth for me to feed, and I know that she'll be provided for. So he goes to the other MC, Henry's parents, and sets up this marriage. And that's kind of where the novel starts. Henry is gay. He does not want to get married, but he wants to appease his parents. He wants to make them proud. He feels like he's never made them proud. But as the date's getting closer, he's you know, feeling claustrophobic. Like he knows it's coming. He does not want to do it. He likes Clara as a person. He thinks she's a lovely woman. He doesn't want to like hurt her in either way. So he already realizes he made this huge mistake by by saying yes. And so that, you know, it just kind of kicks off their journey from Henry first turning down the marriage and then them getting together. I won't spoil how they get together, but most of the novel is actually centered on them kind of working towards their better tomorrow. So it's not so much a novel that is explores the friction between the two of them as opposed to how they help each other grow and how they try to overcome these terrible circumstances that they find themselves in living in this time period, the Great Depression, and in the middle of the Dust Bowl, and how they can kind of come together and work together to change and to get the future that they want together.
And I like that it's taking the positive out of a rough situation, because I feel like that's relatable at any period. Not to get political about now because I won't, but I feel like that is kind of a nice spin where it's in spite of everything, they're gonna, you know, find their little moment of happiness.
Yeah, I think that was important for me too when I was writing it. I wanted it to be something that resonated with people now. I've been not in that dire of a circumstance, but in hard economic, you know, financial circumstances. And I wanted to provide people with some hope. One of the other themes of the book is found family. I love found family. I put it in almost everything I write. So, and yeah, I really think that how we can all help each other through these times and find, you know, love, whether it's romantic or platonic, to help us. Yeah.
No, I like it. I'm excited.
Oh,
yeah, I am too. And I was wondering if maybe in a future book, Libby and I could be like part of a found family for one of your main characters. Like you can have a Libby and Liz type, maybe like a sister duo or something.
It could be Lizzy and Libby.
Lizzy and Libby.
I'll do it.
We're the twins. And we also are circus performers.
Oh my God. So, all right. I was going to say what era. I want to know what time period and location I got to plop you guys in.
I was always drawn to the time just before the Great Depression as a kid. Like when we're talking about, you know, early 20th century, I was always like, oh, once we hit the Depression, it's boring, you know, it's sad. So I would say like 1910, 1915, 1920 actually is a good one.
Yeah. What about like the 20s, the roaring 20s?
Let's make us roaring 20s circus broads.
20s. I know that Logan enjoys a lot of history factoids and fun and weird things. Okay, I recently read about penny licks. Are you familiar with penny licks? And you're a history major, correct, Libby? You double,
yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I read this and I shared this with my 6-year-old niece who loves ice cream. Penny licks back in.
Oh yes.
Okay,
Sorry, but now as soon as you said that.
Okay, and maybe you could supplement what I read, because it was something to the effect that I think it was in the Victorian era. They had something called penny licks. It was this little like metal cup or some little glass cup, and they'd have a little bit of ice cream, and you would pay a penny for a lick. But what they did was they didn't clean the cups and they kept passing it out. So kids were kids and I think adults were dying from tuberculosis. It was starting a pandemic. So I said to my niece, I was, I told her she loves ice cream. I said, if you were a kid back then, would you have done the penny lick? And she's like, no, I don't want to die like those kids. So I was like, well, that's the correct answer. I thought that was fascinating. And I feel like penny licks is something that I would find in a Logan Sage Adams historical romance.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
minus the TB maybe, but still.
I don't know.
Or maybe the TB. That wouldn't be terribly off brand to have a little bit of, some of that
kind of like Love in the Time of Tuberculosis.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my
Love in the
gosh.
Time of Penny Licks.
See, to me, that just sounds so dirty.
It does. It does. That's because you have a dirty mind, apparently.
Yes, clearly.
I put that on a trope graphic and people would wonder what it was. Maybe they would get it to see. Like, what is happening here with these penny licks?
I'm fast. I really think and I think what we should be is the twins. We're Libby and Liz.
Oh,
Libby and
we're
Lizzy.
selling this toxic ice cream.
Yes, we're the ones selling the penny licks. My imagination runs wild when I'm in your presence, Logan.
So speaking about imagination, Logan, I know we've talked a little bit about your writing process before when we've had you on the show, but you've written more books. So can you tell us a little bit about your writing process? Have you noticed a change over the last 4 books with how you go about writing a story?
So I used to just kind of find the characters as I wrote them. Like I would just start writing and be like, I don't know who this is. Let's see. Yeah. But then it was a problem because you'd get like a third into the book and be like, oh, that first, most of it is not, nope. And then you have to go back and like rewrite it. Yep. So I try to come up with a little bit of a vague what the characters are like before I start and have a little bit of a vague arc. So I have like, here's the main, like I'll usually have like the climax kinda in my head and like the happily ever after kinda, and maybe like the meet cute kinda.
Yeah.
And then like the sorry. Yeah. This is very good. This is not good writing advice. And so I'll try to figure out the characters are, and then after I write like the first 2 chapters, I try to like stop and make sure they make sense for those characters, or if I had a different idea from where I think now, oh, it's making more sense to go, then I'll like try to adjust early. And the way I find my characters, and this is probably the silliest part, is that I look at old photos of like men from the time period that I'm going to write about, and then like the people just jump out at me like, oh, this could be one of the dudes.
No, I love that. That's really cool.
I did too.
So then that's how I just like find the men first, and then I find the era, and then I find the guys, and then I just kind of like fit things together and see what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's wonderfully creative, and I would love to know. I mean, there'd be no way of finding out, but it'd be great to see if the story that you create based on those photos is in any way accurate to what their lived experience really was. Like that would be cool if you somehow were actually able to really tell.
With Ourselves in Immortality, I at least did find the guy who I based Calvin off of. I didn't find much about him because I don't think he wasn't like famous or anything. Yeah. But there was like a saying, like it was like his picture, and then underneath it kind of implied that he was a son, kind of like a cheeky person. I was like, I think I just got that from his face, which is really funny that it worked out. But then there's like sometimes I'm way off the mark. Like one of the people from an upcoming book for the World's Fair, I didn't know he was like kind of not famous, but like people might know who he is. And I like found that out after I wrote the whole book. And then I looked and I was like, this is like the polar opposite of the character that I created. So it was just kind of funny. That's okay.
Hey, find inspiration where you can. I like it.
Yeah.
When you were doing your research, and again, I'm a big nerd and I love this crap. Did you watch like any archival footage and and specifically Ken Burns. I want Ken Burns to listen to the show and be like, hey, Libby, I'm going to give you a scoop on my next documentary. I don't know. I just love Ken Burns, and I love the Dust Bowl documentary.
From Ken Burns, an epic saga of land scarred, dreams buried, and hopes reborn. The Dust Bowl
Documentary. Did you ever watch anything of that? Will someone watch that with me?
I'll watch it with you. I did not. I watched them. There were clips on like PBS and just there are a lot of like blogs. There were some people who had entries based on like their grandparents' experiences or things like that. I read one of the books called The Worst Hard Time. So that was like most of my research. I did look at some clips, like I wanted to see the storms and what they look like. So I did try to find, there were a lot of photographs out there. So that's mostly was photographs. There wasn't as much footage. There's some that I looked at, but mostly they're like photos. I mean, there was a book that was available on Kindle Unlimited that was like mostly photographs, so you could just like scroll through.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
see like cool photos from the Dust Bowl.
Not to give away anything that might be with the secondary characters. Do you have any like shysters coming to town trying to make it rain?
No, so I will spoil one thing of like how people who were suffering at the time were kind of swindled and taken advantage of in some way. You guys might know that dance marathons were really popular back then, and one of the reasons was because they were basically like the people who, the haves, wanted to watch the have-nots for entertainment. So people who would enter the contests were pretty desperate typically, which is why they would put themselves through this to dance for like 40 hours or something like that, sometimes longer, sometimes not, depended on the competition. So I did include one of those in the book because I thought, you know, a lot of people know about dance marathons, and all I knew of them was like, oh, that was an interesting craze, like people were really into it for some reason. And then when I started doing some more research into the Great Depression, that was one of the things that I found was like, that was one of the reasons they were big, is because people wanted to win money. They needed money so desperately. And then people were happy to like host them and have people watch, because they could pay a little bit of money too to watch these people. And so I just kind of wanted to put that in there because it just showed how absolutely desperate that they were for money. They would do anything, you know?
Yeah. And I can't remember if it was Ken Burns or another book, but the people that would come and sell like cannons and guns, telling them to shoot into the clouds to make it rain, and then they would leave town before they would actually shoot the cannon. So I was like, I wonder if we're going to have any like weird cannon moments.
Oh no, I did not do that. There are a lot of, I felt like there was so much to include. It's a bit of a longer book than my other books because there was so much I wanted to put in there, and their journey was so long. Like I couldn't give them a happily ever after any sooner because it would have felt cheap. It would have felt like they didn't earn it and it wasn't true to the times. It's weird because on one hand, I feel like depending on someone's perspective when they read it, they're either going to be like, wow, can you throw any more at them? This is really cruel, Logan. Or they got off easy because so many people, especially the people from the Dust Bowl impacted regions, did not have a happy ending at the time, you know, but you have to, it's romance. But I can see both sides. I can see both. They had it easy, and also, wow, everything that can go wrong will go wrong.
Fine line, but I bet you balanced it well.
I hope so. We will see.
Wow, this is, first of all, I didn't know any of this about the dance marathons or the shooting cannons into the clouds. Like, I find this all really fascinating. I'm even more excited to read your book because I want to be immersed in this world of, oh my God, wow.
I feel like I'm in the right headspace for this, so I'm very excited for July.
You know, I feel like it was a summer release. Like, I can feel the oppressive Oklahoma heat.
Yes, it needs to be dry and hot. What do you need to absolutely have when you sit down to write? Like, is there a location or a drink or a snack or a vibe?
Silence.
Silence? Awesome. Yeah, I totally get. I have a rain sound machine that I listen to if my husband's playing. I'm pointing like he's behind me. He's not behind me. When he's playing video games or he's loud and I just can't handle it. I've just been listening to a lot of rain, and then I realized the book I'm working on now, all the scenes there was rain, and I'm like, all right, that might not be the best thing to be listening to.
Oh, I like that though.
But
Do you think
it's
that
super chill.
did the rain sounds influence the story, or did the story make you want to listen to the rain sounds as the
Oh, you know what? I think the rain sounds might have inspired me because I was looking. Sometimes I just do like white noise. And you
Yeah,
know what's
yeah.
funny? I like pink noise. I cannot tell you what the difference is, but there's
I don't
like
know what that
pink
is.
and white and brown and green, and there might
Yeah.
be every color. I don't know.
Yeah.
But pink and white are my favorites if I just need like the sound of static. But the rain, and it's not with a thunderstorm, it's just like quiet rain on leaves, and it's
Yeah.
very chill. But I've
Oh.
noticed that I'm like, well, wait, why is it raining? I just got done saying it was hot and sunny. I'm like, damn it.
As you know, Logan, on Romance Roundup, we share romance book recs. So, do you have any LGBTQ romance book recs to share? Any that are on your TBR list? What do you have
Yeah.
for us?
All right. I'm gonna probably throw a couple out and I'll try to hit some different genres. Lance Lansdale, you absolutely have to read his books. I have to mention him first because he has such range. So if you're looking for like super sweet and angsty childhood friends and then almost like a second chance romance, We Burn Beautiful was wonderful. If you want more of like a little bit of a sci-fi vibe, but you're not really that much into sci-fi, House Husband's Guide to Domestic Bliss, and now there's like a sequel out, is fantastic because it's like you go into it and you're like, who's gonna care about a robot? I mean, sorry, Lance, but that was my thought. I was like, I don't. But within the first chapter, I was crying and I loved this man so much. And I was like, I just loved him and I wanted his happily ever after. And this, I was like a skeptic. And right away he won me over.
Yeah.
And then he's got his Murder Daddy series, which is like a little over the top and it's meant to be, and it's very fun. So I will say Lance Lansdale is a great one. If you like fantasy, but fantasy is like tough for you to really get into like the world building, there's a series, Once and Forever Kings. The first one is called Awakening in Sapphire, and it's by Jonathan Hawker, and it is an Arthurian legend retelling, and it is fantastic. The second one just came out. You got to check that out. There's another one I'm going to mention because, again, a release is coming out, so I feel like it makes a lot of sense. And this is way more heavy into the sci-fi, but really, really good, really engrossing, lots of action, really great romance. The first one is called Kestrel, and the second one is called Killjoy. I'm probably pronouncing Kestrel wrong. I think there's a different way to say it, but it's by Adrian Lothy, Lothy, and both books are amazing. That second one I was able to beta read, so I was super excited about that.
Ooh, cool.
And the arcs are out now, so it's actually coming out in like 2 weeks.
Oh,
And
nice.
I think those are some really great ones for like kind of hits all different areas of genre.
Excellent.
Awesome. And I've read Lance Lansdale's work, and I believe I did talk about the House Husband one. Do you remember me talking about that
It
one?
sounds familiar.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah, because I really, really enjoyed that. And I read a book from the Murder Daddy.
Oh, you did? Which one? Which one?
It was the first book in this series, F, Marry, Kill Me, Daddy. And it was super fun, really over the top. I haven't read though, We Burn Beautiful?
Yes. Oh,
I haven't read that one.
oh, you're gonna cry.
Okay. I don't know. You're assuming that I'm that type, but okay. No, I might.
I don't cry very easily when I read. I sometimes cry when I'm writing my characters. I think because they're like closer to my heart.
Yeah.
But I know if a book makes me tear up, it'll probably make a lot of other people cry because my threshold's a little higher. So if I'm like, oh, I teared up, I'm like, all right. If I went to like some of my Bookstagram buddies, they're probably crying. So
I got you. Okay, so there is a chance then that I'll cry. Well, and that's our roundup. Thank you, Logan Sage Adams, for joining us here on Romance Roundup. A pleasure as always.
Yeah, it was great to be here, and I'm so excited for you all to read my book.
I can't wait.
You said that like you're not.
Yeah.
You didn't really mean that. Watch Romance Roundup on Reader Seeks Romance channel and subscribe on YouTube. Listen to Romance Roundup on PodBean and all podcast apps. Thanks for joining us, romance readers.
Happy reading, everyone.